All right, welcome back to the shop. So this video is going to be about my pickup. This 2025 GMC 2500HD, the max tow package. It's a 1 ton, but they still call it a 3/4 ton, so you pay less weight fees, but it's got the max tow package. So when I get this thing in the air, you guys will be able to see the size of the rear diff in this thing. It's friggin' massive. It's got the spring packs, the camper special torsions in the front, everything. But one thing about it is they put these Rancho shocks on it. And when I went and looked at this at the dealer, when I went to go buy it, I saw the Rancho shocks and I'm like, crap, they wasted money on an upgrade. That sucks. The stock shocks would have been just as bad. So I finally broke down and ordered a set of Bilsteins for it, or Bilsteins for those of you that, so I'm gonna go ahead and put these Bilsteins on, and then I'm gonna take these Ranchos and just list them on Marketplace or something like that for sale. If there's anybody out there that needs a set of Ranchos for these, I think it's like 2023 to 2026 now. We'll have the same shocks. Hit me up. I'll make you a great deal on them. So I've already got the arms in place. The truck's already where it belongs, and I just need to lift it up, and then we'll get the tool cart over here. We'll get these old shocks off and get these new ones on, and make somewhat of a video out of this. So. All right, let's make sure we're in the right spot. Yep. What's really cool about this truck, they put pads on it all the way around for using the 2-post lift, which is really cool. It's very rare you see that. So here's the rear one right here, and then the front one, I don't know if you can see in the camera, but whatever, it's there. So we're on there good, and we just get it up in the air. We'll check it for balance. Usually balances right off the bat when I use those, using those mounts. There we go, got all 4 up. Just give it a shake. That feels pretty good. Tiny bit heavy on the front, but it should be all right. I'm gonna go ahead and shut the camera off while I lift this up, and then we'll get after it. All right, so here's the shocks. I was kind of hoping that the shocks from my 2006 GMC would have fit, because I just put new Bilsteins on it, but they didn't, of course. This has this really funky looking saddle type mount. And the rear ones may have, I didn't even check those, but I'm not gonna bother just stealing the rear ones. So here's the Ranchos. I've always hated Ranchos. This thing rides like crap with the Ranchos. It's got a bounce to it that it shouldn't have. But anyways, look at the size of this diff. This is not the 3/4 ton diff. This is what they put either on the 1 ton or the 3/4 ton that has the max tow package. You also get the extra 2 springs for the 1 ton and the heavier duty springs. Beautiful truck. They did a really good job on this thing. And in the front, look at the size of these torsion bars. That's massive. It's got camper special torsions on it, and it's a front suspension package so that it can handle, you know, a lot more weight. So let's see. Looks like I'll have to. Yeah, I'm gonna have to pull the wheels off. I was hoping I didn't have to pull the front wheels to do it. But so, anyways, I bought this last November, so it's what, 10 months old now. Got it. Just over 10,000 miles on it, and she's been doing really good. You know, there's a lot of people that always complain about everything new. You know, oh, they ruined this, they ruined that, but you know, it's a nice pickup. If it lasts as long as my 2006 LBZ did, it'll be great, because this thing was not cheap. So anyways, let's get after this. I'll get the tool cart over, and we'll just do the rear ones real quick. Just because they'll go real fast, and then we'll get to the front ones. All right, so I closed that other door just to keep that light from coming in and screwing everything up, making it look bad. I've got this other one open, though, to keep some light in here. I'll go ahead and pull the bottom off, then we'll get up there and pull the top. Where does socket go? I had it in my hand. Oh, here it is, 21 millimeter, and a 13/16 actually fits on the nut, so. Yeah, so either a 13 millimeter or a 20, so either a 21 millimeter or a 13/16. And the top one doesn't have, the nut's welded on the top. That makes it easier. So about 2 seconds to get that one out. And then I don't know what happened. I got a really good deal on these, bought them through Amazon. Saved quite a bit, like Can't tell you how much because I don't remember, but it saves quite a bit. But I got the package and the boxes are dented. Someone took the strap off this one. So hopefully it's not too much of a stretch to have to push it up in there. If it is, I'll just get the transmission jack or something. So let's see, that way. All right. Let it bounce off. Come on. There we go. Yeah, look at that. That's really cool because these Ranchos, you guys saw that when I pulled the bottom bolt out, that the axle dropped down about half an inch or an inch. They were a little too short. I did buy this set for, what is it, 0 to 1.5 inch lift in the front because I adjusted my torsions. I put these bigger tires on. I couldn't stand the original tires. They were too small. I actually wore them out, the Goodyears. I wore them out at 10,000 miles. These are they're 35 inch tall. They're out, where's the size? Yeah, LT 295, 6520. And it makes them a 35 inch tall tire. I bought the ones for pretty much a stock rear suspension and then a 0 to 1.5 inch lift front suspension because I adjusted the torsion bars on here to level the truck. I don't know why GM always does that. My old truck, my 06, the day I bought it, I called a buddy of mine that sold me my off-road, my heavy equipment tires. He ordered me a set of 285 75/16s, and we drove it right to the shop down in Escondido. First thing we did, we raised the front end up. We just adjusted the torsions, and we brought it up 1.5 inches, 2 inches, whatever, and then we put the bigger tires on because it came with 245s, and it should have had at least 265s, but the 285 70s were great tires for it. I probably went through, 300,000 miles worth of those. I don't even know how many sets. I couldn't tell you. Probably, I don't even know. But anyways, if you don't know, to adjust the torsions, this takes a 7/8 socket and you just adjust it on the torsion key here. And my shop floor is like perfectly level, perfectly flat. So we just brought it in here and just used a tape measure and raised it up. So it's just a little bit lower than the rear is. So that's what you do with those anyways. And if you have one of these and you want to get rid of those crappy tiny tires, this was the perfect size that I'd figured it out. It took a little bit of work to figure it out, but I did it. I got the right ones. And so, but anyways, getting back to what I was saying, it's funny that these Ranchos were a little too short because it dropped an inch before, once I pulled the bolt out. And these ones here, I'm going to have to push the shock up at least an inch. So interesting that these don't have the exact same throw, especially since it's a factory item. It's a factory upgrade item. Anyways, let's get to this thing and hopefully I can just push that up. I should be able to. See if I can find the bolt, the hardware I took out. There it is. This floor is starting to get really scratched up and pitted over the last 15, 20 years, whatever, since I epoxy coated it. And sometimes you drop a bolt this color and you can be standing on the thing and you can't find it. There we go. Wasn't too bad. Come on. 13/16 is just a little tight, but it works. So watch this thing drop. Oh, let me get the camera in the right position. When I get this bolt out, we should be able to see the axle drop a little bit. Yeah, that dropped over an inch, probably an 1.5 inches. I'll get this camera up here so you guys can see what I'm doing up in here. All right, so here's the exhaust. Exhaust is a little bit in the way. I've got to try to come in around this stuff. All right, let me get the camera back down. Sorry about the bad camera work. I don't have anybody to hold it, and even a tripod, guys, would not be helping me right now. Getting up in this hole. And I'm not one of those guys that's gonna wear one on my head because I think that looks terrible when you're shooting video like that, and everywhere a guy's head goes, the camera's following along. So with my ADHD, that would be a bad thing. All you guys would see was things flying around in circles. So, all right, here's the top bolt. Actually had some anti-seize on that top bolt. That's kind of a rare thing to see on a shock from a factory install. All right, so that went pretty easy. Yeah, this exhaust is just right in the way. Ah, dang it. There we go. Ow. Okay. There, I just had to raise it up maybe an 1/8 inch, maybe a 1/4 inch. So I should get a little bit more throw on my suspension out of these too. All right, so that was the rear. That was a piece of cake. Let me change this camera so it's not zooming in anymore. Oh, wrong way. There we go. So the rear was a piece of cake. That took me, what, 3 minutes? 5 minutes? The front's gonna be a little harder. I'm gonna go ahead and pull a wheel off, and then we'll see what we have. I don't know, it might not be too bad. It's just a bolt going through for the saddle on the bottom. And that upper saddle just goes across right there. Hopefully that won't be too hard to get a socket on that. So anyways, all right, so I got the wheel off and then I lowered it down a little bit. It was just for the front ones, we can be lower like this. So we can see that's just simply just a bolt like the bottom and the rear. The top one's just got these nuts right on top. And it's got wire loom that's kind of trespassing on the ends of those bolts. I have to pop that off. And that should be pretty simple to get that out of there. All right, so I got this bar. I'm gonna go ahead and try to pop these little caps off here. There we go. Got that on there. Let me see what size wrench will fit on there. Probably 13. Yeah, this would be 21 millimeter. 13/16. And of course, it has Stover nuts on here. Jar. Stover nut is a hardened lock nut that's just pinched on the end. They don't use nylon like on a nylock. They're a lot more durable. They handle a lot of heat too. So I noticed. All right, so I've got the top nuts off. One thing that sucks about this, someone's got to tell these guys at GM that we all don't live in Pennsylvania. I don't need this sprayed on freaking nasty gunky crap on my frame because it's not going to rust here. I gotta put up with that for the next 10 years. Hate that stuff. So anyways, I got the top off. I just need to get the impact on the bottom here, and then we'll go ahead and pull that bottom bolt out. Get something to set this camera on. That should give you guys a good enough view. So we'll get that 21 millimeter back on here. I think it's 21. Yep. Yeah, 21 millimeter. And then 13/16. Come on, this 13 will barely get on this one. Probably because all the garbage they sprayed on all over my frame. There we go. Rancho Crapo. Let's get this new one in here. We're trying not to get all this black stuff all over it. I don't know why they think everybody lives in the Northeast where your cars rot away just sitting there. Get these nuts out of here. get that to sit there. And here's the bag of hardware that came with it. So it came with 2 very crappy washers. Really, Bilstein? These are trash. This looks like something you'd buy at Home Depot. And then these nylocks here. Even thread on there? Yeah, well, that's a crappy nut. I thought they were cool because they looked kind of neat, but that's a crappy washer, a crappy nut. Threads barely didn't want to start. Let's see if these stock ones will fit. If they will, I'll just use the stock Stovers. That's a different thread, different pitch, I think. Yeah, it's a different pitch. I'm gonna have to use these stock ones. That sucks. Let's see. These washers are a joke. Just dropped them all. If the service truck was here, I'd go get some cat hardware for this, but it's not here today. So we'll just keep an eye on it. If these washers, if these nuts don't want to stay tight because these washers are compressing because they're just trash, then it won't take much to just pull the nuts off and put some good hardened grade 8 cat washers in there. There we go. It's a little bit of a pain the way that's up in there with that wire harness, but I can't complain. I've changed shocks that are a lot harder to get to. Especially the top ones when they have like ones that just have a center post. I hate those kind. Especially once you've been off-roading it for a few years and everything's caked on mud and they're, starting to rust or whatever. All right, so I got that started. Get this bottom bolt in. Yeah, he's not bad at all. Dang it. Sorry about the noise. My microphone just stuck to the brake rotor. Come on. Oh, that's the wrong nut. All right, got the bottom tight. Now I just need to wrench these top nuts down tight. I'll probably grease this while I have the wheels off. I haven't greased it yet. 10,000 miles is probably just about time. So I'm gonna grab the grease gun and do that too. So I went to go ahead and tighten the top ones, and thankfully it's a smaller size nut, 19 millimeter, and I found a ratchet wrench for it. So that's gonna speed it up a whole bunch. Look at that. Whoever invented the ratchet wrench is a super good guy. All right, so I was able to open this door up because that light's not going to bother the camera right now because it was just getting too hot in here. I got a nice breeze coming through. So the other side's all together. It's all wheeled back on and everything. This one I got the bottom bolt off, and this one will be a lot easier. It's just a lot more room over the top here. Still not really room to get a ratchet in there. It might be, but it's not worth looking for. All the stuff I'll need for it. So I'm just gonna go ahead and finish wrenching these off, and then we'll pop the new shock in this side. All right, we're just about done with this last nut here. These are nice heavy duty nuts. I wish they fit the new shocks. Just something with me, I guess. But I just call them Bilsteins because it's just easier. And I've been calling them Bilsteins since, somewhere in the 80s, when I had my first four-wheel drive truck, First I put KYBs on it, and then later on, we switched to Bilsteins. Because the KYBs are so hard, such a hard ride. They're good if you're off-road and you're tearing it up, they're great. But if you're on the street, they're just rough. And I had an 85 Toyota pickup that I got when I was in high school. And I hate Toyotas. I hate all Asian cars. They just don't make good cars. Their idea of making a good car is hey, we made this disposable car, we made it good enough to last. Yeah, they're good enough to last, like 150,000. And then their expectation is you'll send it to the, the junkyard, they'll shred it, send the steel back, and they'll make you another one. They'll recycle that steel into another crappy, putty, recycled steel frame. So I can't stand them. But anyways, long story short, I ended up with this 85 Toyota pickup, and I put dual KYBs in the front. At 5-inch lift, put dual KYBs in the front, and I broke the frame on that thing like twice with that. And I finally took those duals off because it was a harsh ride on the street, but off-road, I could catch air. I could freaking pound through a dip or something like that, and it just bounced right out of it it was nice. But anyways, I'm kind of babbling, I guess. So this new shock is sitting in place. I'll get the hardware on it, and then we'll finish this thing up. Okay, get the nuts in place, run these in, and then I'll go ahead and get the bottom bolt last. Just gotta get these tight enough by hand so that the ratchet wrench will ratchet. I kind of always want to cut out this part of my videos, you guys, where I'm just wrenching on something and it's kind of boring, but I don't know. I know you guys are watching it to watch something happen and not just see the effects of it happening. So I'm trying my hardest to try to put this boring stuff in it. Because I have really a bad case of ADHD. And I'm not just saying that because everybody says it's cool nowadays, to have your health issue or whatever, your mental health issues. But I actually do. I have a really, really severe case of ADHD. And for me to sit there and watch someone do something like this would just make me climb up a wall, I usually just kind of like to watch it happen quick and kind of rifle through it. But I realize some of you guys, probably most of you guys, don't have any issues like that, and you probably want to watch. So here we go. This is for you guys. Let's see if that's going to fit. I might have to get the transmission jack. Yeah, I'm going to have to get the transmission jack out of here. I should have put that in before I tightened these, because then it would have fit and it would have pulled it right up. That was smart. Okay, I'll get this figured out and I'll bring you guys back in a second. All right, so it was quicker for me just to back off these two nuts than it was to go get the transmission jack. And now I got it. Usually I don't like doing that because of the nylocks, but the nylocks are still warm for me, putting them on in the first place. So I think they can handle being turned a little bit more. Shouldn't be a problem. Man, I love ratchet wrenches. All right, get that on there. I just need to tighten the bottom bolt. I won't bother setting this up on a tripod just to do that. So let me get that tightened up and then we'll go from there. All right, that's it. So I'm gonna go ahead and grease this and then, grease this front end on the side, and then I will get this wheel back on. So I'll let you guys, I'll probably film me putting the wheel back on. Pretty good sized wheel. It comes right up to my waist up here. Okay, just for fun, I'll let you guys watch me pick up this 150-pound wheel and put it on. These are not light. Mother frig. Yeah, it's about 120, maybe 150 pounds. All right, well, that's it. Just a quick little video doing this. I'll probably post this one like midweek or something like that. Not a super exciting video, but I haven't been getting enough videos out lately. It's just a lot of work, a lot of extra work doing them. I've got this transmission apart out of a Cat 950M. I did video taking it apart, but I've got probably like 3 or 4 hours it's gonna take me to edit that one just because there's so much work involved in different steps of it and stuff like that. And then I'll most likely do a video putting it back together when I get all the parts. And I've got a couple other videos I've got footage for that I just need to edit. It's kind of just my big thing anymore. I was trying to find time to edit them and get that done. So anyways, we'll get this one out. It'll be something to watch, I guess. Please hit the like button. Share with a friend if you have anybody interested in the kind of stuff I do. And subscribe if you haven't already. So thank you guys for watching.